up, everybody? Welcome to S version.
Episode 8.
I've been going ham with this freaking S2000, and I am at Thunderhill West for the first time. So I'm running this with Ongrid. I'm going to be in the purple group, which is a step above intermediate 1, if I'm not mistaken. So it's going to be a little bit more commanding of my experience and track awareness. But I think I got it, although it's been 2 years since I last been here. But I'm looking forward to it. This track is basically a back road without the traffic, the deer, the ditches, and the trees. So this is gonna be pretty awesome. And then I have some friends that I'm rocking with today, so maybe I'll get some cool passenger POV or chase another S2000. We'll see what happens. Alright, so I'm making my way into the track, and I'm going to take it really easy because the first time that I was ever at Thunderhill West, it was for Ongrid, and I believe it was also West Fest as well. And I was an idiot back then. I didn't study the layout of the track at all, and I just sped out of there in my Honda Fit, just sending it right off the bat. And I I ran off track and I got stuck in the mud and I couldn't get out, so I had to get towed off track. And there was so much mud in under my car that it put my car into limp mode, and I pretty much blew the whole weekend. I signed up for that whole weekend and I just tossed it in the trash on the first session of the day, on a cold track, on a wet track, and on cold tires. This was where I lost it in the fit. I ended up spinning out onto the right side of the track, and then that was the end of my weekend. Ever since then, I learned I learned that patience is a virtue. So it's my first lap of the day in the S2000. At T Hill West. I ran this track the least amount of times out of West, East, Sonoma, and Laguna. I've been here the least amount of times. So just taking it easy, just cruising it. I wanna drive the car for the whole track day and ideally drive it home. So just taking it easy. And the funny thing is, up until the last session of the day, this was my best session. I clocked a 136.2, and literally as the day progressed, I was still getting 136s, but I was slowly getting closer to a 137 up until the last session. So that was really funny. It was really warm that day, so I think I really had to play with my tire pressures to kind of compensate for the warmer track conditions. But yeah, I think I got it dialed in towards the end of the day, and walked away with a PB. So I'm gonna play the fastest lap of this session, and we'll go from there. So for this session, I pitted out ahead of my friend, Just Drive Mike, and he's driving an AP2 S2000. I don't remember what he's got going on with his car aside from an HKS high power single exit and a squared setup, and he's on RT660s. But yeah, he wanted to chase me and just kind of get some good footage of me. That ended up not happening because he was having some camera issues. But yeah, this guy, he's fast. He won't tell you, but he'll show you. So this guy just kind of glued to my bumper this whole time, and, which is cool. A little bit of pressure is okay. I can handle it. It kind of gives me that little extra push to kind of shave off time, even though I actually got slower throughout the day, like I was saying earlier. But yeah, this was pretty fun, and we were kind of pushing through and making our way throughout the track, which is really cool. I really like that. I'm getting to a point where I can start catching up to people and then learning how to maneuver around them in this car. Got a little too jiggy with it. I let Mike pass me up, and then now I'm like, okay, well, I guess I can chase Mike now, which was pretty fruitless because this guy just freaking takes off. Yeah, he just walked me. But like I was saying, it was really cool that I'm getting to a point with this car where I can start catching up to other cars, and now I get to learn how to adjust my lines, when I make passes on people, because at the track they'll give you a point by when you're in the more intermediate groups, but at the end of the day, if you're faster, it's also your responsibility to adjust your line and get by the slower driver. So that's kind of something that's pretty new. Mainly since Sonoma, that's kind of when I really started, passing people a lot, and I'm like, okay, cool. Now I get to learn how to, maneuver this car when I have to make those adjustments. Maybe I go outside or inside, stuff like that. At least for passing like in and around corners. Not so much on the straightaway where the other driver can just let off the throttle and then you'll get by no problem. And this was also a very crowded track too, so which was like a double-edged sword, because on the one hand, okay, I'm learning how to get around people, but we hit like so many Congo lines throughout the day. It was pretty nutty. back into the pits so Mike can drop off a passenger, and also just to kind of get spaced out ideally once we get back on track. And also I didn't plan on spinning, or not spinning out, but losing control of the car earlier. So the agreement was I'll lead the first half of the session. Mike drops off his passenger, and then I chase him, right? So Mike just leaves me, right, as he previously demonstrated. He's much quicker than me. So now I'm kind of like just on my own trying to catch up to the pack. And then there's like a Ford Focus behind me getting crazy, dancing in and out of my mirrors. And he almost got a little loosey goosey. But yeah, at this point, we just get into another Congo line. One of many throughout the day. So yeah, fun stuff. black Ford Crown Victoria, and eventually she lets me buy. And fun fact, the driver of that car, Carly, she was in an older video of mine way back. It was when I did autocross at Crow's Landing with BMW Car Club. She took a ride in the Fit, just for the hell of it. We were all there with some friends, and she caught a ride in my Honda Fit, so that was pretty cool. And I actually haven't seen her in a while, so it was cool seeing a lot of familiar faces and just making new friends. That's what I love about track days, just getting to know people and seeing people we haven't seen in a while. It's always great. Yeah, so for this session, Just Drive Mikey caught a ride with me because he blew the motor mount on his car in the last session, so he was pretty much down for the day. And so, yeah, he's rocking with me, and, I'm just trying to do my thing. Yeah, just more or less the same. It's a really fun track, but I think because of its short distance, and also the scenery is kind of samey. I don't really find it amusing to watch a lot. So that's kind of why I'm kind of like just cutting through, really just through all the little moments where I'm kind of dancing with the car, or or if I'm passing someone, or if someone's passing me. Because yeah, this day was really fun. Don't get me wrong, but like I said, I was only getting slower throughout the day up until the last session. Because once again, I'm just kind of trying to figure out what the issue is with the tire pressure. I dropped it down to 27 in the morning, and then I think when I checked on the third session, I got it up to like 33 and a half, which was pretty nuts. So I ended up dropping it down to 31 psi. OEM specs are 32 psi. So yeah, I just dropped it down to 31 psi hot, and I think that's kind of what did it for me. But yeah, so all the little issues and stuff aside, this is a really fun day. But I feel like this track can be pretty samey. That's also my issue with Thunderhill. I just think I'm not really good at these tracks because I have a hard time memorizing corners. When it's literally just one green hill to the next. I don't know, maybe that's doing a disservice to the track. It's a really fun track. It's just, especially in the fit, when I was a much more confident driver, because I knew that car. I owned that car for much longer, and I was more experienced with it. So I had to get a lot more ballsy with these tracks. That's kind of when I started running into the issue of, oh dang, like I just overshot this corner because I thought it was actually this next corner coming up, and yeah. But oh well, I'm sure practice makes perfect, so I'll just have to go to Thunderhill West again.
No.
So for this last session, our friend Sonny wanted to chase me in his Celica. He's got an S2000, but he brought out his Celica. I'm not too sure what year it is, but it's like the last gen Celica GT, GTS. I'm pretty sure because it's got the 2ZZ engine. And me and him were kind of running the same times throughout the day, so we both kind of felt like we hit a wall, for whatever reason. And he wanted to chase me, and hopefully, he can manage a PB, just trying to, keep me in his sights or possibly pass me. So I had Sonny on my bumper this whole session, and yeah, man, that guy can drive. That man can drive. Yeah, so it was a pretty short session as well. Surprisingly, it wasn't that crazy because it was 3 groups in one for the last session. So you see Sonny, he's in my rear view, and there's another car coming up behind us. But yeah, it really wasn't that bad, all things considered. But it was like about a 10-minute drive for us, so there's that. But that's okay. But you can see Sonny just getting down and just using the whole track, keeping me in his sights. He was definitely making up a lot of distance in some corners like the S's. He for sure got me there. But I think my car had a little bit more power, even though I had like a couple extra 100 pounds of dude. And yeah, we let this guy go. This Beamer passes us up, and then it's just me and Sonny.
That'll do it.
And that was it. That's all I could muster in my S2000. I'm still happy that I finally, started cutting down time instead of increasing time. But I was a little butthurt because my Honda Fit did a 133 .8 something at Thunderhill West. But then again, I owned that car for much longer. I was really, really familiar with my car, and I was also on RT615Ks, which are definitely a much better tire than these Indy 500s that I'm on. So, it makes sense that I would somewhat be quicker, but I still felt some type of way. But whatever, The reason I chose, summer tires instead of track tires is because I wanted something that could give out. That way I can learn the car, once it. Wow. Yeah, I'm recording these voiceovers on my lunch break, so you're getting a lot of San Francisco ambience. But anyways, yeah, maybe next time I'll beat my Honda Fit. But until then, I'll just keep driving. All right, 135.707. That is all she wrote. Um, whoa. um, yeah, I feel really good with this car. I think I should probably rebuild some suspension, and kind of just go over more like the mechanical maintenance for the car because it's definitely tired. It's a 20-year-old car, so this might be my last track day for a while. I'm probably gonna do a couple more autocrosses. Oh, it's okay. Yeah, we'll just cut that out, or I'll just keep it in for humor. Who cares? Um, but yeah, I'll probably do a couple more autocrosses because that's not super demanding of the car. But I I had a pretty good run. I think I had a pretty good run, and I can't wait to see you guys at the next one. Peace.